welcome to another episode of Beyond the Bar Top. And today I want to actually talk about Netflix.
And
All right?
chill.
No, no, this is chilling. You're too far apart, brother. Too far apart. Long distance. But now, the thing is, I saw this documentary. It's like barely an hour or so. I don't know if you can call it documentary, but whatever. There was this documentary about the cruise.
Yeah.
All right. And it's called the Poop Cruise.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, given that you have former experience in the cruise, I think you are the best person to talk to about it. So this time you're on the hot seat because the nation wants to know.
Thank you, Mr. Bachchan.
Alright?
It's much appreciated.
But just a little context for you've watched
I did.
documentary. So just give the listeners a little context on what this cruise was about.
It was a low budget company called Carnival.
That's one way of putting it.
See, it's very simple. If you're from India, you hate on Pakistan. If you work at Taj, you hate on Oberoi. So same way, if you work for All Caribbean, you hate on Carnival.
Okay.
It's a
It's
given.
like you don't have a choice. You're
And
just born with it.
it's part of the induction. But for context, it's called the Carnival Triumph. And
Oh.
yeah, so it's one of the ships that still sails to this day. It's renamed as something else that I can't recollect at the moment. But in the documentary, real life enactment of what actually happened, it's one of the that does a 5 or a 4 day sailing from the US and they ignore a few safety protocols and there's a fire on board.
Mm.
And because of that, it's a fire and then they curb it very early on. However, the damage was already done. And
Yeah.
most of the wiring harnesses for the power supply was taken out and they realize that they're not going to have power supply for the duration they remain on the ship. Because of which, again, on the ship, you're not going to have the simple task of like charging your phone to running your blenders or any electrical equipment. However, the entire episode of that show revolves around one simple amenity, which is your toilet. Because
Mm.
unlike your house where your toilets or washrooms run on the concept of water pressure and gravity,
Yeah.
right? Like
That's exactly that was what I thought.
yeah,
Both sailing, it's on water. You could technically dump it there,
yeah,
but
it
just for the
does.
sake of
It has those state of the art filtration systems. However, unlike your house where it's gravity and water pressure pushing stuff down the drain, the ship is very similar to the way they do it in airlines, where it's electric
collected.
powered. Yeah, it's electric powered vacuum. Like it just sucks stuff out.
Okay.
And then it goes to
Okay.
a common sewage tank and does the whole filtration thing. Now, because the power supply cut out, the vacuums obviously didn't function. And then they had to resort to alternate methods, which these typical American passengers didn't want to resort to.
Yeah, because that's my thing. The situation when this happened,
Yeah.
they all went off, oh, we got to poop in a bag. And I'm like, y'all got a bag. That's not too bad. Y'all got a bag and a tissue. That's what you'll do any damn way. The logistics of it was a little like when I was watching it, my question was like, so do you have to aim it or do you do it when you take your dog for a walk? You get these poop bags that
Yeah.
attach to the butthole of the dog. So you just hold it there and then do your thing. And I'm like, but both ways in a series of crises, yeah, not too bad. But these guys were bitching and moaning about it. And
Also because they didn't realize it's a crisis. They just thought it's just another situation where they're out of their comfort zone and it'll be taken care of because, as usual, everything gets taken care of.
yeah,
Not
that's
realizing
true.
it's like a 4 5 day ordeal. And you can't really, if anyone out there who's not watched the episode and they think that, oh, you could just poop overboard because pani hai, chala jayega.
Not gonna lie, that thought did come across my mind. Just draw your pants down and take a. Because at some point during this whole fiasco, people were having sex besides each other.
Yeah,
And
because
like,
they were drunk. That was one of the mistakes. They gave them access to a free bar.
that is true. That is true.
Yeah, just
I mean,
amplifying it. Though.
as a hotelier, this is like 101 in
It's a
ever
dream.
a stranded situation. The last thing you do is introduce alcohol in a place where resources are limited.
It's already
People
chaotic.
are already frantic. So the moment you put alcohol in there, people start losing inhibitions.
It's amplified.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were busy doing it on the open deck and everything. But you couldn't really relieve yourself across the barricades, like into the ocean, because it's very easy to. So again, on the open deck, even the railings that are there, it's quite
Yeah,
high. Like even if you're like a 6 footer, it's
true.
up to your chest level.
It's true
So
for safety.
it's obviously, yeah, it's for safety reasons. So even if you're to go overboard, you will have to really physically make an effort to do it.
I'd probably have you hold my hands while I'm like,
Hey, it's a two-person job.
it's a 2% job. You hold my hands. Probably got a third person to wipe my butt after that because I can't let go. So,
That's
I,
the butler service you paid for.
no, because, yeah, so again, back to the context of it. So people still disregarded simple instructions, and basically the whole ship was flooding out poop because they still pooped through the toilets and the water wasn't going anywhere. So it
Yep.
started overflowing.
Yeah.
People were walking in poop in the corridors and I don't know what you call them, galways.
Yeah.
And that was, I'm like, that I feel could have been avoided if only people understood the severity of where they are.
The, okay, if you watch the episode, you do realize because a majority of them behaved entitled and they all wanted simple notion. I've paid big bucks for this cruise. I'm an American citizen. I need to be comfortable. I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, that's,
If you hear
yeah,
the staff talk about it, there's just a crew member giving their bit about there's an Indian chef, there's a
yeah,
Romanian
yeah,
or a Russian bar steward, and
yeah.
there was a British cruise director. So if you see the cruise director's bit, they are
Mhm.
supposed to be extroverted. They are supposed to be all lively and be the center of attraction of any party. Same goes for the cruise. They're the ones hosting the fun events at the poolside, post the dinner. They are the orchestrator for everything that happens. And that's the role that the lady was trying to pull.
Yeah.
But in the situation of a crisis like that they were in,
Mm.
still trying to be positive and they didn't want to participate. They were like, we would never take a dump in a bag.
Yeah,
You
that
don't really have a choice at this point.
exactly, because I believe everybody was under the misconception, all right, that it's going to be 24 hours and we're going to be rescued.
Yeah.
Which, as an optimistic person, yeah. But if you have done any sort of survival activity in your lifetime, you know you got to be prepared for the worst. Like one guy said, I'm just going to hold in my poop for 24 hours. So he popped in a few pills and then he held it, I think, for 24, 48 hours.
Yeah, he
But then
sustained.
eventually he had to let
He
go.
gave a.
Yeah, but in that process, imagine if you're storing alcohol, in your body, you're forcing alcohol to stay in you for that long. That's poisonous. And if it went to a third day, I mean, it did go till a third and fourth day, but if you had to hold it in for that long, you're probably going to poison yourself and get knocked the fuck out.
My favorite bit in the end episode was not even them seeing suffering. It was another sister ship of
Yeah,
theirs of
cruise.
Carnival who was up next to
It's,
them. And
yeah,
they are all fucking doing the YMCA on the ship. They're blaring
exactly.
music. They're having cocktails on the open deck, watching
Yeah.
these guys suffer.
Yeah, these guys are pleading for help, and because I think the satellite connection they got, they could make phone
Their
calls,
wife.
internet.
Yep.
That was epic. But yeah, so basically that's the cruise itself. Definitely recommend go watch it. It deterred me from going on a cruise. I'm like, if I go for a cruise, 2 day cruise maybe.
Okay, so I did some research even post the episode. Turns out
Okay,
that particular company had a history back in the day when internet was not that prevalent, and they are one of the companies that have a largest fleet.
that's true.
Yeah, so like when other companies you put into perspective, your Disneys and Royal Caribbeans are at their 10 ships, 20 ships. These guys are like 80 plus. Yeah,
Okay, that's a big
they're,
number.
they're,
Yeah.
they're a big fleet. However, they try to cut corners when it came to servicing and maintenance.
And that's my thing, right?
Yep.
If a airline does that, you
I,
lose lives.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
All right. On a cruise, especially on a vacation cruise, it's not a transit cruise, it's a vacation cruise. You've got people coming from all walks of life, especially as the stereotype goes, and you can maybe counter it or back this up. There's a lot of elderly people on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
I'm talking people that don't really, unless it's you're going for those rave cruises.
Mhm.
But for a company to quite blatantly ignore it, the safety precautions necessary and things like that. So let me divert that question to you. So in your time working on a cruise, did you feel your company like voluntarily just act oblivious to certain things that kind of needed to be done?
I don't think they can legally sue me if they see this. I hope not. If you guys see it, I miss you guys.
I'm
But
just allegedly, we'll start.
they didn't, what is that, overlook or override a safety protocol, but it was more of a maritime suggestion where
Oh,
the captain is given, obviously, is the same like an airline. They're given these weather conditions and everything before they take on the route that they're flying to. The same with a ship, like when they're going from point A to point B, they know exactly what the weather conditions they're going to be battling with.
oh,
However, the captains end up getting commission for the fuel that they save, the time that they save on, and all those factors. And their
oh.
commission is massive, bro. Like we could easily get a. Couldn't care less when I'm sitting in my nice JDM. So,
Okay.
boo.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
My Supra is so loud I can't hear you cry anymore. So these
That's
guys would like make so much money on commission. There was this one instance where we were traveling to, was it? Yeah, it was Mexico. It was Cozumel, one of those ports.
all
And
right.
it was from Miami. However, to reach there, you had to cross the Gulf of Mexico, which also means very terrible weather conditions,
Okay.
which the captain preempted. Like he was given those orders of it's going to be shit out there.
Yeah.
Captain was being you. He was being Tufani Pro Max and decided
So,
to do
okay.
the
That
out of the
weather
ordinary.
मेरे love से.
Exactly. Because at one point, I remember I was working a morning, I was working breakfast, and it was on deck five, which is it was a 10th floor ship. I was on the middle one. This is morning 7 o'clock. That restaurant barely anybody came at 7 in the morning to have breakfast because it's a cruise. Everyone's on a holiday. Everyone wakes up at 10 a.m. It's just this one old man who's come early morning to have breakfast. I'm serving him coffee. The lights are on, and at one point, you just feel you sink, and it's completely dark, and it's bright again. You don't realize what exactly happened. The water rose that high that it crossed past the deck five, and that's the reason it was dark.
Holy shit.
Because we had officially
I
arrived,
swear, I just thought it was electrical, but no.
because we officially arrived in the Gulf of Mexico. That's how the tides go.
You're doing parkour on the water with your boat. That's how you indicate you reach Mexico.
Also, they have those, I don't know what it's called. It's the technology that lets you put these rudders out that helps the ship float. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
balance itself in case of a
Uh-huh.
rough sea.
Yeah.
So is these massive rudders that propel the ship in such a way where it's like
Mhm.
it's an
Like a,
IMU system. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a six-axis system, how it runs on a motorcycle, keeps it steady instead of it wheeling. I know it's very
I
technical.
thought I'm the one who's keeping the bike on the ground. I'm old school that way. No launch control for me, motherfucker. This is it.
Yeah, it's like a gyroscope.
I
Yeah,
get
that's
it.
the word I was looking for. It
Okay,
it
okay.
like keeps it stable no matter what the
Got it,
conditions.
got it. Okay.
However, for a ship to propel that out, it consumes
Yeah.
more fuel.
Which the captain didn't want to because apna commission is there.
Commission. Yeah, exactly. Commission is priority. So let's not deploy that. So the ship is
Okay.
pitching and yawing all the way.
Yeah.
It was not a matter of
No,
15 minutes or a few hours. It was 14
it's
hours straight.
14 hours straight of ups and downs. So because this is no longer comfort cruise, this is an adventure cruise.
Yeah, because everybody felt sick on board. And after one point, like imagine this is the cyclone that's going. The ship cannot go
Yeah.
straight towards it. It's got to go at an angle, otherwise it'll just topple over. So we are
This is some
just
Pirates of the Caribbean shit going on, bro.
it was, and the fucked up part for me was it was probably in the first 3 4 months that I was on board. So I thought this is a regular affair.
So riding karta hu, my bike also leans the same way.
So the ship is just angled and going around the cyclone. And so for the next 6 7 hours that we were working, everyone's walking
Sideways.
sideways.
They're all Michael Jackson in this case.
The guests never showed up because everyone was sick. Everyone were eating seasickness pills and green apples and crackers to stabilize the liquids. Some decide to go crazy and drink.
Okay, no, no, let me break a question of this. On the cruise itself, you'll just have a supply of seasickness amenities.
Yeah, there's like a medical facility, like a doctor on board and all of that. So everything is there except for surgery. Everything else can be conducted on a ship in the
Okay,
medical
okay.
facility.
Give the captain some commission, he might do the surgery as well. I'm like, yeah, you can save your money on that too.
He was a young captain trying to prove a point, but there's like a massive dispenser right outside the clinic where it just dispenses seasickness pills. You can
And just pop it.
I don't know if you can OD on it, but I've seen people consume more than two. We just put you to sleep.
Okay. I think
So
if it can put you to sleep, then you can OD on it.
could be, but also the whole idea of it is supposed to make you feel full so that liquids don't move inside your stomach.
Okay, okay.
That's the whole idea
So,
of a pill. But yeah, that was one cruise that I remember very vividly where it went against the suggestive routine.
okay,
People
okay.
did get off. Like we reached in Mexico way in advance than we were supposed to, but nobody wanted to get off because everyone was sick.
So they get off like just for the touristic part of it, or that was their final destination?
For the
Pun intended.
touristy part. The fun bit was the previous night when we were in the storm. It was a Mexican
Hmm.
night. There was a Mexican buffet, so there was like tacos flying,
Oh,
random enchiladas just on the floor. People puked just. They were like, "Hey, salsa," and someone threw up.
no, no. Salsa regurgitated. God. Okay, but so a captain can put you at risk. I get that when he's at the helm. The company can put you at risk. So, how safe is it to get on a cruise?
Honestly, it's a lot safer than an airline for sure. To
You
put
think,
numbers, no, but if I had to put numbers
mhm,
into perspective,
like,
turns out a ship takes 4 days to sink. I'm not talking Titanic era. I'm talking today's time and age.
okay,
An entire vessel takes about 4 days to completely sink.
okay,
Rescue comes in 12 minutes.
12 minutes. Okay, because you're on the Gulf section, right? You're not.
Yeah, you are, even if you're doing transatlantic and all of that, you're always near
Mhm.
the land. So anywhere between 12 to whatever minutes. It's not really that difficult to find. And there are these lifeboats, safety rafts, everything is there on the ship. So very unlikely, unless there's like an explosion or something on the ship, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, but well, tangent to that, I mean, the explosion is the main highlight of the whole poop cruise event. Shit caught on fire, and then shit
Shit,
caught on fire.
literally.
Okay, and that's my thing. So, in terms of an explosion on board, what is the crew trained for?
So the crew, even before being part of the crew on a ship, you're trained for. Again, if you see the episode on Netflix, they have a safety
Mhm.
drill when they board
Yeah.
the ship. They conveniently
Okay.
ignore it because they're
Yeah, yeah,
drunk
yeah, I've
already.
seen that one.
And they say,
That's
who's
right.
really going
Yeah.
to need it?
True, true.
I've heard it very frequently. Literally every cruise, again, every time you board a flight, more times than not, you're not really paying attention to the video playing on your screen because you're like, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But also on a flight, you're in your seat, you're like relatively stationary
Yeah.
and you're like in a metal tube. So
True.
there's only that much of place that you could figure something out. But on a ship, bro, you're in a small township. There's 7,000 other people on it.
Yeah.
So everyone's running helter skelter. The first thing I remember the chief safety officer telling me is in case of a crisis, who are you going to save first?
Myself.
Exactly. So if
That's
you're,
what they train you all for?
yeah, you're going to save yourself first, buddy.
Mm,
You're not going to
okay.
be an Indian superhero and be like, Atiti Devo Bhava, मैं पहले guest को बचाएगा.
I just like the crows a whole lot more. Because then if you're in a plane, the flight crew has to first attend to the guests because the disco.
Yeah,
So, but
exactly.
to learn that if you're on a boat, I'm like, yeah, bitch, you're going walking, I'm taking the lifeboat. Hey, you can Jesus this thing out of your way and start walking on water. But yeah, remember that time you didn't tip me? Here we go. But
A
okay,
guest comes
okay.
running and
So
she's, oh, can you save me? I'm a little baby. And boom, it's your fault.
because okay, my learning is quite honestly from the Titanic. And the Titanic says women and children first. All right. So I presume like the crew is like women and children, my ass.
Yeah. So you are responsible. Just, you're responsible for your own safety. However, you're supposed to still help guide the guest in your registered muster station. Like you have
Okay.
50 or 80 people in your section and you could be
Okay.
responsible. You're supposed to help them get on board, like on the life raft or the lifeboat or whatever it is. But that's it. You are not supposed to jump into a fire and save somebody's ass. Don't do that.
Okay. So just for my personal, is there anybody to cross check me saving somebody and guiding people, or I can just like, hey, this way, no, and then just
No.
I was like, Captain, I told them to come follow me, but they didn't speak my language apparently because I spoke in a dialect even I don't understand.
No, no, no.
So I want to come across through with regards to because representation, the Indian chef. I gotta, no, I fell for that guy because he kept it real like 100%. Like, I'm not covering my accent, I'm not covering what I'm a head chef, and this is what I do.
He was my
Yeah.
favorite.
So I understand that on a cruise, you'll have a fixed amount of food preset. Like it's a week's trip. You've got 6 tons worth of eggs, some rice or meats and whatever it may be.
Hmm. Yep, yep.
But the way he spoke, he said like he has a surplus of maybe 1%. All right. And this goes back to like even you saying that you can be rescued in 12 minutes given the
Hmm.
circumstances. But what if the situation goes to shit and it's not 12 minutes? What if you can't just evacuate people off with a fucking helicopter or something like that? It's going to take longer. So, how does the crew prepare for that incident?
I've never undergone any training per se where this Mayday situation has been put
Okay.
forth. It depends on the ship's home port. Like for me, mostly it used to be Miami, where it's a turnaround day. People get off the ship, they disembark, new guests and crew join the
Okay.
ship. It's a very busy cycle. But at the same time, there's a big team that is offloading goods and getting fresh produce
Okay.
as well. Depending, let's say, for example, one of the ships which had five restaurants serve five completely different menus. So their produce would come on board. The food that had to be served in the buffet would come on board. Or the crew mess, where the cafeteria, where the crew eats, that would come on board. At the same time, most of the stuff have very high shelf
Okay.
lives. Let's say, even for example, if in the crew mess they would serve scrambled eggs, the scrambled eggs didn't come from fresh eggs, it came from a
Okay.
packet.
Okay. So they're like preserved and kept up.
It came from a packet, you added hot water, and that was it.
It's like military grade.
And so everyone has a fixed ration, let it be your outlets, your restaurants, your crew mess. There is a fixed, I'm sure there is a surplus amount that they get, but I'm assuming it's a fairly smaller percentage because, again, there is a food cost involved in all of this. And the food
Right.
cost results in a commission to the executive chef. Everybody is a commission. Yeah, it's a thing, bro. There's a reason there is cauliflower mash added to potatoes. So you get a higher yield.
Wow. Yeah, okay, I didn't think about that. So everything
I,
is
I'm not saying
commission
everybody does
linked.
it, but people do it.
If you're giving somebody the incentive of a monetary
Hmm.
incentive, they're going to try
There
and
are
cut
there
corners
are
in some way.
alternatives.
Next thing you know, that the whole synthetic lettuce and paneer is the next move out over there because that saves a lot of.
I'm sure it's reached the ships by now, the synthetic paneer and all. But again, paneer was not really that big of a deal on the ship. Like cottage cheese wasn't quite a star
Yeah.
attraction. But yeah, so again, coming back to the question that you asked earlier, there is a fair amount which is held in surplus. Again, not as an emergency perspective. It is just that what if we fall short at some point? And let's say we dock one
Mm.
of the days on the private island, maybe the consumption goes up by about 20 kgs or 30 kgs. you also have to account in multiple factors like wastage, spoilage, spillage. So
Exactly.
again,
So that's
yeah,
all.
so again, in an
Like,
emergency, I'm sure even the way they did it in the documentary, it's the final, the executive chef. He's going to decide whether in the distress you eat a soggy sandwich or a ribeye steak. It's up to him.
okay. Because there should be food for four
Hmm.
days. If everybody cuts off portion and instead of say you cook a steak with just your basic olive oil and some salt instead of using your Hollandaise or something, to repurpose that for
Correct,
another
correct.
day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there is
There's
that
always a
portion
way.
control concept in that.
But this,
Instead of a 16, it'll be an 8 ounce.
yeah,
But
because he went down right to the sandwich. He's like, we gone directly to sandwiches. I'm like, that was a quick like 100 to 0 drop.
th-
And I'm like, if I was a consumer on the ship, I get it. We're in a crisis, but I would like to have my meat.
they ran out
That
of
sounds
power
wrong.
supply, which most of the supplies went stale.
You're right.
They
Yeah,
went out
that's a
of
good.
refrigeration,
Yes, that's a
so
good
whatever
perspective.
was left was. And again, in those situations, they couldn't serve meat because it is not temperature friendly. You'll have to serve whatever is food safe.
Well,
Safe.
that makes sense. So
Because
refrigeration
in that
also.
scenario, they were anyway bound to get backlash and get sued. Last thing you need is somebody dying of a food poisoning.
Also food
Yeah.
poisoning on top of that.
So
Yeah, that's a valid point. Yeah, that makes sense. Because I'm like, okay. So then as soon
mm,
as the ship went to ship, what is going through the crew's mind when a crisis like this comes out of nowhere?
first is run to your friends who are bartenders. Run to your cabin where you have a lot of taxable alcohol.
Okay,
Say goodbye to your friends and family back home and the ones on the ship
that's
for all the married out there.
this, yeah, that's another conversation.
No, I'm
Like,
not vouching for that.
no, but there's definitely want to get yeah,
But
that perspective.
yeah, but in case of a danger, so you have prior training, right? Before going on the ship, where you have your firefighting, first first aid, first response, safety, and first
Yeah.
aid. You are trained to do basic first aid.
Okay.
I can't put together your jugular and all that out of my forte,
Could do
but
mouth to mouth. Mouth to mouth.
synecdoche guest story.
So, yeah, no.
I was nominated only for South American guests in case of CPR was required.
You get nominated for this thing, so you just decided to
No,
nominate yourself. That's just
hum first, hum first.
like when I speak the language. See, senior. This is it.
CPR. But yeah, in case of a
Uh,
crisis, again, what you've been taught is save yourself first. Do what is isn't go to your emergency station. Everyone has
yeah,
some emergency duty assigned to them, be it in the corridor, in the stairway, in the gangway, different locations. So you know exactly where you're supposed to be in case of, and then everyone have different duties depending on their skill set. So you do what is required in that moment, and then at the same time, you're not really rescuing anybody. You're escorting and assisting people to on board the and like senior citizens and all of that, and like children maybe, but
yeah.
that's about it.
No, not pushing it further.
There's very little that you can really do in such a scenario. The difficult part is being calm and dealing with these guests who are like panicking all the time because again they think it's the end of the world and
Exactly.
they somehow think that you are going to save their life. Had you paid attention on day one, you would have saved yourself.